Jay.
See me?
Yeah, what's going on, man?
Doing a little bit of this, so you can hear me fine.
Yeah, no, I like it. It looks good. I like the bookshelf in the background. I tried to kind of do the same. I don't have as many books though right now.
But you got all the certs. You got the certificates, so that makes up for it.
Yeah, I guess so. Well, I'm glad you are able to take the time to talk to me here. I've been following your stuff online for a while, whether it was the 6-figure, now 7-figure Moving Academy, or the many YouTube videos that you've posted. You are one of the few people that are out there posting videos on YouTube specifically for moving company owners or startup moving company owners. So I'm sure you're clearly adding a lot of value to people, and I want to kind of get to know you a little bit better and hear your story a little bit, and maybe learn something along the way, and just kind of have an open dialogue if that works for you.
Not a problem. I'm glad to do what I can do for you.
Awesome. Cool. Well, I'll go ahead and get started here. So this is the Grow Your Moving Company podcast that we're getting off the ground here, where I talk to local moving company owners, or not even local, just worldwide moving company owners, find out their stories, find out what works for them, how they got into the business, where they're going, where the industry as a whole is going, in the effort to not only teach myself, but to hopefully share some value with other people, because there aren't a whole lot of resources for us out there right now. I know there's a few coaches that are popping up. There's obviously the American Moving and Storage Association, which has a lot of good stuff in it, but for today's mover, I don't see a whole lot of industry specific stuff out there. So hopefully we can just talk, create a community of successful moving company owners, and all get better at the same time.
Absolutely. That's why I did what I did with the YouTube videos, because there wasn't anything out there. I was actually the first. Then Louis Massaro decided to jump on my coattails.
Nice. Awesome. Cool. Well, let's jump right into it. So, I know you're the owner of USave Moving and Storage. Tell us a little bit about more who Jae Burnham is.
Well, I've done a lot of moves, but I think I got a little bit of a funny story of how this came all about. And when I was younger, my stepfather was a truck driver, and we moved around a lot. I mean, I think we would stay in a town for like a year or thereabouts, So we'd go from town to town. I've lived in Lansing, Grand Ledge, St. John's, Fowler, Lakeview, all over the state of Michigan, because my stepfather would get a trucking job and we'd move somewhere closer where it was cheaper, and so on and so forth. So it was interesting because we moved a lot as a kid. Then, through life, I joined the military, blah, 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 had my life. Then I come back to Michigan, and during that time, we were going through the Great Recession. And if you remember back in that time, back in 2006, 2007, 2008, Michigan was actually the hardest hit state of all the states. And so I was looking for a job. I found a job with this guy who was actually a road mover. He didn't pay me, but I'm smarter than the average bear. So I saw what he was doing, saw how he was getting his jobs, and I was like, I could do so much better, because this guy wasn't doing any kind of advertising. He wasn't using Craigslist. The only thing he did was a Yellow Pages ad. And I'm like, I saw where Yellow Pages was going. I knew it was tanking. Nobody except for, these, people and, very, very old timers were using the Yellow Pages anymore. And I did a lot of online marketing and stuff like that. I had some very, very, very minor success in that. So I decided to take my knowledge of marketing and sales online and marry it up with the moving business. And that's how I started in 2008.
Awesome. So why the moving business? Just because that was the opportunity, that was the industry that you were in?
I didn't, I don't know any kid that grows up and says, man, I want to be a mover. They want to be a doctor, they want to be a lawyer. It was just the opportunity that happened to present itself, and I jumped on it. I looked at it, saw that it was a low barrier to entry in regards to you could get into the business by renting trucks and renting equipment. You didn't actually have to have your own. You could rent it. and get into it very, very easy. You could rent a Penske truck fairly easy and then rent a dolly and blankets and all this stuff. So it was a very low entry, and it just, because I worked for this guy, saw what he was doing. He didn't pay me, so I said, you know what? I could do this. I could just go rent a moving truck. I had nobody else to base this business off other than the 3 weeks or 4 weeks that I worked for this Yahoo, you know? So I was just like, I just saw what he did. And I was like, I knew that, you know, that there was options. Like I could go rent a Penske truck, and I knew I could do stuff online. So it was just, God just seemed to just put that right in my place and go, and something went, you know what? I can do this. And I did. I wish I would have known then what I know now, but it's still, you know, thank God I didn't know what I know then, what I know now too, because then I probably would have been held myself back a lot, going, oh, I got it, you know. But I just jumped in with both feet and took advantage of the opportunity, and 10 years later, here I am.
Yeah, I feel like that story is, I think a lot of us get into it for that exact same type of a story. We work for somebody for a little while. I mean, I myself, it was the recession. I was a college student. I had little or to no professional experience. I was just trying to make some money, and my dad actually was like, all right, well, I got a friend that works down at J.C. Penney's. He's like, you're going to be spending your summer inside at a J.C. Penney's. I was like, I hate the mall. So I was like, no, anything with that. So I started posting ads on Craigslist to, like, you know, help people load and unload U-Haul trucks. And I had a pickup truck so I could do little, you know, shuttle furniture across town. So, I mean, that's kind of got the wheels turning. People like the idea of hiring a college student versus, you know, your typical quote unquote road mover that, you know, you never know if you're going to get who you're going to get with that.
Right.
So, yeah, I mean, the recession almost created opportunities, I think, for a lot of us. I think if we talk to a lot of the people in your 7-Figure Moving Academy group, a lot of people had similar humble beginnings. And, you know, fast forward 10 years when the economy's, you know, roaring, we're, you know, all growing our businesses and actually established companies. So that's really cool. And we've all learned the hard way. You know, like you said, there weren't a lot of resources out available for us when we were we kind of had to figure it all out as we went. And now, you know, if I had this Facebook group, you know, 5-6 years ago, you know, 7 years ago, if I had, you know, your videos, Louis Massaro videos, you know, whatever, I think that we could have probably expedited this a lot faster. So I think that's really valuable for somebody who's maybe in that position right now, trying to go rent trucks and start their own thing.
Right. And that's, you know, I've been in this business 10 years, you know, going on almost on 11 years. And it's, you know, I didn't know anything. I had some guy that worked for another moving company that worked with me and kind of showed me how to pack a truck and how to load a truck. But, you know, I have a higher than normal IQ. I'm not trying to brag. It's just the business. So I was able to duplicate very, very quickly and be able to implement. But, you know, these guys that are young, you know, and hungry and they want to start a business. I mean, this is a perfect business for somebody who's a young kid that if he goes out and actually applies himself with, you know, and learns the trade with the videos from Louis, with my videos, with the groups that are out there, there's no reason he can't be or she can't be successful within 6 months to a year making good money. I'm not going to say they're going to be a large business that's making, you know, 7 figures like yours is, but, you know, there's no reason they can't make a decent income like $100,000, $150,000, even $200,000.
Sure. No, I totally agree. And I think the other key is to not be afraid to get your hands a little bit dirty, especially starting out, because, you know, you can watch all these videos, but there is definitely something to be said about getting out there, making the mistakes on your own, you know, figuring it out for yourself and not being afraid to pick something up and sweat a little bit. And, you know, I see it all the time. I mean, we're hiring college students. That's kind of primarily who we hire as our movers, or we try to at least. And it's just interesting because, you know, 20% of them end up picking up 80% of the work that we bring on. You know, the other ones realize they want a job, they want a check, they come in, they interview really well, But when it comes to actually picking stuff up and putting it down, they can't cut it. And I don't know if that's something to be said about the millennial generation or whatever. I mean, I myself am considered part of that generation, although I hate that term because I don't think it encompasses everybody. But you can't be afraid to get your hands a little bit dirty, and you also have to be smart about it though too. I think you have to work hard and smart in this business.
I think that's, you just laid on something. I think that's real key. I think anybody that's coming in this industry should really do themselves a favor and actually try to work with a moving company for a year or two, so they know how to pick things up and put it down, and know how to do it right and correctly, and know how to wrap, strap, and pad, or as I like to say, wrap, pad, and strap, because these are, it's not hard to figure it out, but there is a bit of an art to it, and it does take a little bit of time. You just can't just work for some guy, get pissed off, and then I'm a mover now, just because, But as far as people coming in, it's not just the millennials that have the bad, that just can't do it. I've got guys who are, 30s and 40s that come in and can't figure out how to pick something up and put it down. It's you have to tell them, hey, this is how you fold a blanket, and it's like, this is how you pad, we don't push things across the wood floor, it's just common sense things like that, it's sometimes it's not just millennials, it's really anybody, and it's I find, and I don't want to discount anybody, or I don't want to dishonor or disrespect anybody, but you got to have an IQ above your waist size. I mean, really, you do. And if all you want to do is party and smoke joints and stuff, and there's nothing wrong with that if that's what you do want to do every once in a while. But if that's your culture, if that's your lifestyle, this isn't the business for you.
No, because I'm sure you do too. We like to get started early in the morning most days to beat the heat, especially in the summertime, and you can't be out all night. That's one of the big things we look for when we're hiring these guys, and we tell the guys that interview with us up front, like, this job's not for everybody. You're either going to love it or you're going to hate it. It seems to go one way or the other. Some of our guys that have been with us for a while, they love getting outside, getting a physical workout in every single day, seeing the new job sites, meeting the customers. But the guys that hate it, they don't want to get up early. They don't want to show up on time. They don't like to sweat. They don't like to work hard, and it's not the job for them. So we like to be up front. Jay, what would you say was the biggest challenge that you faced when you started USAVE?
Well, there's two biggest challenges that I faced. The first biggest challenge was my own lack of education, my own lack of knowledge. Back then we didn't have the Facebook groups that we have now. You didn't have my group. You didn't have the other groups. We didn't have the videos. There's nobody who wrote an Amazon book or ebook, or anything like that. So I didn't know I didn't even know you're supposed to be licensed and insured, so I didn't know that there was a lot of education, a lot of things that you're supposed to know nowadays when you start one of these businesses. That was my biggest hindrance, that, and the other one was my own lack of funding. I mean, when I say I bootstrapped my business, I bootstrapped my business. I had nothing. When I started the business in 2008, and I literally, the only thing I had was one of those pay-as-you-go phones, which at the time you didn't have the unlimited plan, so you had to pay $10, $20, and I'd get so many calls that within 3 hours, all my minutes were gone. Oh, no. So I'd have to spend another $20 to get more minutes. And then I had a Ford Explorer, and that was it. And that's all I had to my name for my business. And then a year into my business, my Ford Explorer's engine blows. So, it's like, it was just, so there was a lot that I did not know, that fortunately, that's one reason why I was doing the YouTube videos, is to give back. I'm not the big, I'm not making 7 figures. I'm not doing $10 million, but I'm making enough. I do enough. I've done enough business to teach these kids, or I call them kids. Some of them are even middle age, and some are my age that are starting these business. But I'm starting this new generation of movers. I wanted to give them something, a platform, a starting point where that they could go and actually, they could watch 10 of my videos, and you know, if they watch just the right ones, they can literally start right away. So that was my biggest problem, was the education. The other problem I had was my own uncertainty, my own insecurities, if you will. Was I doing good enough? And I had a bit of a temper problem. So if someone pissed me off, I let them know right then and there. And even though I knew better than to do it to a customer, I still did it to customers, right? And I also took that anger out on the rogue movers, the guys who were just the fly-by-nighters that really ticked me off. And I attacked them online, and that really caused a lot of problems for me, because they sort of ganged up, and then they started spreading rumors of that I was a child molester and this and that and the other thing. It really got really bad. But I caused it. I'm the one who attacked them first. Had I left them alone, they would never have done it. But so it was all the business lessons that I've gone over 10 years. Everything I do in my videos, I've either learned the hard way or learned not to do them because I had done them. So that's what I'm trying to do, is I'm trying to impart my wisdom, if you could call it that, to these new generation of movers, so that they don't do the stupid things that I did, and I did some really stupid stuff.
So what advice would you give yourself now, or if you could go back in time and give yourself advice from where you're at now to where you were then, what would be the number one thing you would say to yourself?
I would say learn everything you can. Just suck up all the knowledge, I would, before my back gave out, I would have tried to say, go get in with some van liners and learn how to do what the van liners do. Because for the most part, the van liners, they know how to wrap, pad, and strap really well. So, I would have said, go and learn everything you can. And two, I would have just said, hey, dude, take it slow. Because one of the biggest things I wanted to do was expand. And there was like 4 or 5 times specifically throughout my career that I tried to expand way too fast. And when I expanded way too fast, it put me like 5 yards behind the field goal, So it's just like, I probably could have been in a position where I had multiple trucks now had I not did some of the dumb things, because I tried to expand fast, and when I wasn't ready, didn't have the capital, didn't have the expertise. So it's like, slow down and get yourself some knowledge. And that would be my advice to me back if I were to do that now.
Yeah, I think that is great advice. You want to make sure you have a well-oiled machine before you try to replicate that machine. And I'm guilty of the same thing. When I had my original company was called Smarter Moving Solutions. Actually, it still is. That's our LLC. But we competed against 2 college brothers when I first started out, and ended up acquiring the company and using their name. But when I acquired them, they had done the exact same thing. They'd only been in business 2 or 3 years. They tried to expand to 3 different cities that were 200 miles apart from each other in the opposite directions. And I was like, that was one of the things that drew me to college. I was like, oh wow, like I can go from having this one location to having 3 locations. But once I kind of dug into it a little bit, I realized that they didn't have 3 locations to succeed. They weren't succeeding in 3 locations. They had 3 locations to kind of boost their ego. It was all more of like an ego pad, from what I could tell. So, we shut down both of those locations, focused on the one location, Gainesville, University of Florida, College Town, for 2 or 3 years. And then we were like, okay, now I think we're ready to try this whole second location thing again. And, even then, we may not have been ready. We tried to bootstrap the second location similarly how we bootstrapped the first location. And we're just now kind of getting up to speed with that location, and we think it has a ton of potential. We're down in the Tampa Bay market right now as well, and it has so much. It's 10 times bigger than the Gainesville market. So like, there's so much work to be done down there, and room to grow down there. But when I see posts in the group like, hey, like, how do you guys go into different markets? I'm like, be careful with that. Basically, what you were just saying. Like, you want to make sure you've been able to completely max out the market you're in, because there's probably a lot more opportunity. It's going to cost a lot less to max out a market that you're currently in than to go and try to open something else. So
exactly.
That's good advice.
And if somebody, in my advice, and it's very, very limited when it comes to this, I would if they want to expand into another market, what I would probably do is I would try to find a small but successful company in that market and see if they would like to partner up. And that's what say, hey, take Joe Blow Movers. Say, hey, Joe Blow, I see you guys are successful. You're doing good. You guys got a good reputation here. You got one, maybe two trucks. I got this huge brand. It's well branded. It's well liked. I've got the marketing system. Why don't we partner up? You take on my name. You keep the company. You run it. And I'll help you with all the marketing. And we split the profits 50-50. And I think that would be, and not only that, that also keeps you away from franchising too, which could be a pain in the ass. Because I looked into that too. So you could be a partner with it, get your name out there, but you got somebody already established that's doing well running a company, and then you could just mentor that person up.
Interesting. Yeah, no, there's a lot of different ways to do it. You don't have to necessarily go start your own thing from scratch. I love the concept of franchising. That's one of my ultimate goals, is to franchise. But like I said, I think we still have to continue to fine tune the machine before we can start packaging that and selling that. So, there are a lot of different ways to grow a business, but I think that the number one takeaway is just make sure you're ready for it and that you can back it as you need to. So.
Exactly.
Cool. Let's see. What else? So 10 years from now, what are some of your goals? Where do you see yourself?
Well, to be honest, I one reason why I started the 7-Figure Moving Academy YouTube channel and the Facebook group is because I recognize my own immortality coming. I'm almost 50 years old. My back is horrible. So I'm looking at this and going, okay, I'm not going to be in the moving business much longer, really. But so I created the 7-Figure Moving Academy so that I could start having some sort of income when it's time to shut down. So that later on, maybe in a year or two, I'm going to start offering courses and things, maybe even offer a school for independent companies like yourself and mine to teach them how to, where they could send a couple group guys in and for 3 days over a weekend and teach them have those certify their people on how to load, how to wrap, how to pack, how to drive a truck, all these good things. And just kind of offer a school, then maybe some online classes and courses that people can do and just build up like basically a college of moving, if you will. And that's kind of where I want to go. Something that I can do that I'm not having to be inside the business, because I can't do this forever. So I want to be something that it's in the field, I can still contribute and offer great value, but that is going to allow me to be kind of retire, if you will. Because quite honestly, I'm one of these guys that I would love to go buy 10 acres of land and live off the grid. I'm not saying off of society, but just off the grid and just grow and farm my own food. That to me that's heaven. You know what I mean? Just where I can grab a bucket of grain and throw it in the yard for the chickens to eat, that kind of thing. And just sit back on the porch and drink some lemonade and read a good book and watch the sunset. To me, that's heaven. And that's kind of where I'm kind of going. That's why I'm shifting with the 7-figure income and so on and so forth. I don't have the young man aspirations of turning my moving business into a worldwide franchise anymore. When I first started, that was kind of the goal. But now, when I was 40, that I was still young and exuberant. Now I'm getting 50. My body's giving out. Teeth are rotting out. It's time for me to start thinking of what I want to do in my golden years. So that's kind of where I'm going with it.
Oh, cool. Well, that's always good to have that exit plan, and it sounds like maybe you'd be interested in selling your business to somebody down the road, or maybe just converting it, pivoting. It's always good to have that roadmap. So it's always fun to think, down the road where we're all going to be, and give something to shoot for. So tell us a little bit more about that YouTube channel. Has it opened up any opportunities for you, or has it? Have you how do you see it going at the moment?
Well, it's I started the YouTube channel not this April, but the April before it. I followed the advice of a guy named Miles Beckler, who's an internet marketer. So he said, hey, do a video every single day. And so I did. I did one video every single day. The only thing I really knew how to teach or knew anything about was the moving business. So I taught, I looked at teaching people about moving business before, and I looked at the analytics online, and everybody, all the experts were saying, well, the niche is too small, you're not going to make any money, blah, blah, blah. And then I listened to Miles, and he said, don't worry about it, just make a video. So I made the video, and first video I put out was, hey, this is how I started my moving company. And I just did a video every single day. For 6 months, I did a video every single day.
Wow.
Yeah, and this is at the same time running my moving business. It got very exhausting. And then last September, I basically had to say, okay, good. I kind of took a break for like a month. I didn't make any videos. I just had to just desensitize and just get rid of it. And then now I'm making a video once every week or so. Sorry about that. Had to make a video now I'm making a video once a week. And I've grown organically. I haven't spent a dime on advertising or marketing, unlike some of my other competitor on YouTube who has spent money to build his list. I turned my channel into almost 2,000 subscribers now. Wow. And without spending a dime. So I'm using the knowledge of SEO and keyword analytics and stuff like that. And now I see that there's a great potential now to really give some good, high quality value to people on the pain points that are common pain points that we movers run into. Like, how do we find and hire and keep the good guys? That's a huge pain point. How does someone get licensed and insured? That's a pain point. How do we train our guys? So there's a lot of things that are now opening up. So the opportunities to create something for the moving industry is tremendous. We do have AMSA, or the American Moving and Storage Association, but they're really not doing anything to educate small independent movers. Right. They're more geared toward the van liners or the huge 2 men in a truck style kind of guys. And that's not to discredit or dishonor them. A lot of their information is very, very beneficial. I've been starting to teach the courses. Louis Massaro came out, and he's not really teaching people how to start a business or run a business. He's actually just, his niche that he's doing on YouTube is how to sell the business. You know what I mean? So even though we're sort of competitors, he's got a specific niche that he's concentrating in the moving business. I'm trying to teach the new generation. He's trying to teach people how to sell it. And I think, if we get some more people, I think we could see a lot of companies like mine, like yours, and other people that is in our group, and actually not form a new association necessarily, but actually provide the same tools that like 2 Men in a Truck have. Like 2 Men in a Truck, they're right here in my hometown. They're literally like 3 miles down the road. Their worldwide headquarters is like 3 miles down the road. Wow. And they literally have a 3-bedroom house inside their corporate office where they teach their people how to load and how to pack, load, and unload a truck, and how to use wrap and paper and rubber bands and all that. I would love to have something like that, where I got a little school that teaches. So if you get some new guys that are like you think have a great potential, and you could send somebody to really learn from experts how to. Okay, good. They're going to come over and they're going to learn how to wrap and pad and load a truck for over the weekend. Like one day we'll teach them the theory, and then get them in some practical of like how to put pads on what needs to be padded, what needs to be plastic, how to carry it, how to load it, how to Tetris it in, how to 69 couches so that
I've never heard that, but I know exactly what you're saying when you say that. But I've never heard it referred to that. That's hilarious.
Well, that's exactly what it is.
Yeah.
And you got to speak the language of our target audience, right?
Right.
So basically, just teach them. I think that's really good, and then just teach owners different things, like offer them an online course or a video course about how to hire, what questions to ask, what documents to get them to sign. Teach them how to figure out how much to charge for their market, how to raise their prices, when to raise their prices, these things. Everything that we wish we would have known, I would like to offer those in real life classes by experts, not just me, because, I don't do everything perfectly. And trust me, I've been called out on my thing, which I totally appreciate, because I learned so much when somebody goes, what you're doing, Jay, is wrong. I'm like, really? And they're like, yeah. And I'm like, oh, crap. Well, teach me what you're doing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so they do, and I'm like, oh, okay. And then I go and make a video about what I learned. Like Eric Works, this guy's tremendous with his generosity with what he knows. I can't say enough about what he's done to help me in my business. He's this young millennial punk ass kid, 30 years old, teaching me. I'm 50 years old, and he's teaching me. I consider him my mentor. The guy knows the shit, and pardon my German. That's what I want to offer. Is I want to offer a place where we can learn, really learn, not just get an opinion or two,
right,
but actually learn and get in there, and offer, because we us independent moving companies, we don't have a place, a corporate headquarters where we could go and teach our guys stuff. We don't. You and some of the other guys who have a warehouse are lucky. You guys can say, okay, good. You guys are going to work in the warehouse for a couple of days and learn how to pack how to load and unload boxes and trucks and all that good stuff. Which is great. Most of us don't have that. Most of us only have 2 or 3 trucks if we're lucky, and no warehouse. So it's how do we teach people the skills that you've got? How do we get them from this level up to where you're at? And that's kind of where I want to go. And that's a niche that I want to fill, because there's nobody filling that niche.
Yeah, and I think that's so valuable. I think a lot of it, a lot of us have just learned it how to, by doing it. I figured it out a lot on our own, made mistakes, found solutions for those mistakes. I think it definitely takes a thick skin, because when you make a mistake, you can get a hurtful review or a customer just chewing you out, and you learn pretty quickly if you're going to stay in the business. So you do have to develop a little bit of a thick skin, but you also have to have the right kind of an attitude. I mean, you have to want to learn. You have to seek this stuff out. It's all free. It's all on YouTube. I mean, there are paid programs now with like the Louis Massaro stuff, and AMSA is obviously a membership-based thing. But and there's like the Thomason training videos that are out there and stuff like that. I saw we have a few of those. They're pretty boring, but we still make our guys watch them, because it teaches some good techniques.
I do have my guys watch those videos, but the guys that they have doing the stuff, you're like going,
right. They could have put a little bit better actors in there, I guess.
I mean, their pants are literally falling. You see pulling their pants up all the time. Yeah. It's like, dude, put on a belt, Come on.
I know, and it's motivated me to start filming more of the in-house videos and stuff like that. Whether it's how to pack boxes or stuff. I've started to upload a few more videos to YouTube that hopefully I can show my guys that the way I want them to do it from our examples. But
exactly.
I think that validates us to our customers as well. If we can show that we know what we're talking about, they say that the next step to mastery is to teach. So if we're able to teach, what we've learned along the way, or, whether by doing it or watching other people do it, or from a mentor or whatnot, teaching our own guys, the customers will see that. Have you seen a improvement to your business for your actual moving business? Do your customers ever see the videos that you put up? Do you make any that are geared towards them specifically? I mean, has that helped your actual moving business at all?
It is. I mean, the 7-Figure Moving Academy does nothing for my customers, but right. I have another channel under my moving company, You Say Moving and Storage.
Okay.
And you said something, the training videos. Well, believe it or not, one of the most viewed videos on my You Say Moving and Storage channel is me teaching and filming my guys wrapping and loading onto a piano board and moving a grand piano. That one's got like 4,000 views on it or something like that. Somewhat. I mean, and it's literally a 50-second video, right? It's very long, but people, like my customers, do see my videos and they do go to my website and I'm using keywords and this time I'm using the phrases and terms that my customers are searching for, like how not to get scammed by movers. I made a video about how not to get scammed. Of course I'm promoting You Say Moving and Storage. I'm in my shirt. I say, hi, I'm Jae Burnham. I'm the CEO of You Say Moving and Storage. I'm not promoting anything promoting 7-Figure Moving Academy at all. So 7-Figure Moving Academy doesn't really do anything for my customers because they're not looking for what I'm promoting. But I do have another YouTube channel which gets me a lot of views because I'm really making videos answering the questions that my customers are asking. But the thing is, the lessons that I've learned of growing my YouTube channel, for 7-Figure Moving Academy, has really helped me build up my YouTube channel for my business, which is getting me a lot of views. I get 2 or 3 people almost every single day coming to my website because they see my You Say Moving and Storage videos.
Wow.
So the lessons I'm learning from doing the YouTube videos for my 7-Figure Moving Academy, like the right thumbnails, the right titles, the right descriptions, is translating into my You Say Moving and Storage video station. I'm not doing anywhere near the same amount of volume on that. I might do a video every once or 2 or 3 months on that. But the videos I get, people are watching. They're like, and I'm getting people that will write me and go, hey, I want to move to such and such, and it's actually, it's kind of a two-edged sword too, because I'm getting people all over the country who says, hey, I saw your YouTube channel about how much movers charge. How much would you charge to move me from California to Dallas? I'm like, I'm in Michigan. I can't help. So I get a lot of long distance, or out of state requests, and I can't service them. So that said, thank God I got the 7-Figure Moving Academy and some of these other groups, because then I'm able to go, okay, here's a lead that came to my website. You guys go and take it, do whatever you guys want. I don't want money for it. This is your lead. Do whatever. It's exclusive. So that's a service I'm able to provide my 7-Figure Moving Academy students, as coming from my own knowledge. So they are married up together, but they're two totally separate things, if you know what I mean.
Gotcha. No, that makes a lot of sense. And it probably helps your search engine optimization because you're driving traffic to your site. Google's getting smarter and smarter. They're probably putting the two together that, oh, this is the same company with this website that's also, promoting on YouTube, and Google owns YouTube. So, there's probably some things going on there that are only helping you. I mean, it can't be hurting you, I can't imagine. So I got a book recommendation for you, and maybe you've already read it. It's actually one that I'm in the middle of right now, Crushing It by Gary Vaynerchuk. Are you familiar? Of course you are. Nice. Well, he's got a new one, Crushing It.
Yeah, which gives a bunch of stories of people who've applied the book. So.
Right. So I'm actually in the chapter on YouTube right now, and it's got me all fired up for, posting on Instagram and Snapchat and YouTube and Facebook and just keeping up with all of it because, we look around at our competition and nobody's doing it. I mean, I went on Instagram. I spent a couple hours on Instagram the other day just searching hashtags, and there's very few companies that are doing it good. And I don't know if anybody's doing it great. I think you've got some progressive moving companies out there that I've tried to connect with. A lot of them. There's like College Hunks, and there's like there's a couple. There's a couple out in Austin, Texas that are doing a lot of big things. That it looks like there's some companies like Gentle Giant up in the Northeast, and they've got a few locations I think that seem to be doing an okay job, but like. I don't know if anybody's necessarily crushing it on social media like they potentially could be. So I think there's a lot of real estate to be grabbed in that online arena as we continue to push, towards all of that. Like you said, Yellow Pages were probably on their way out right around the time of the recession, and people stuck to those probably too long. And I think a lot of businesses have popped up online in other areas, but the moving area almost kind of seems still like the Wild West a little bit. So I'm excited to see where that goes, and I want to be a part of it, and hopefully some of the people that we're talking to now or that are listening to this now want to get in on it too, because I'm not so much I don't think of it so much as competition. If I start posting a lot of YouTube videos, I wouldn't feel like I'm competing with you. I would think that we're helping each other grow that space, because if movers learn that there's so many resources online, whether they want to watch your videos or my videos or Louis Massaro or Eric Works, if he wants to start making videos or whoever, it's just going to draw more people. It's like that whole shopping mall syndrome where, if you just had a Hollister there, nobody would come. But I mean, I don't know if anybody goes to Hollister anyway anymore, but once you put it next to Aeropostale and Victoria's Secret and Starbucks and all that, it draws crowds. So I like to look at it like that.
Right. Well, that's actually a good business point, too, that I think a lot of people are going to miss. One, I'm trying to be very forward-thinking in my social media. I don't know if you've seen how much I post on Instagram, how much I post on Facebook. I'm really trying to get the business out there. So, one, definitely listen to Gary Vaynerchuk and what he's doing. Obviously, we can't be as bold and as in presence as he is, because he's like every hour on the hour he's posting something.
He's got a whole team behind him too, which helps.
Exactly. Yeah. But we could, if we're out on a thing, somebody should be there should be somebody in charge of social media and taking pictures of your crew out on jobs. Even if it's the owner going to each job and just checking, being there, stopping in, and then taking some pictures of the family and blah, 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 showing the guys on the road. People want to see that, and that has been very effective. I've had a lot of real estate agents because the hashtags that I'm concentrating on Instagram are real estate agents, realtors, Michigan Real, things in my city and state.
Right.
I'm actually I want the influencers in my area to see it. I don't care about if other moving companies see my stuff.
Right.
I want the influencers to say. So the hashtags I use are geared towards the influencers. And the influencers are the real estate agents. They're the mortgage lenders. There's those people. And that's what I'm geared towards. So, and that's when I use my social media, that's what I'm gearing. When I for my business, that's what I'm gearing it for. When I want movers to see what I want to see, then I'm using the hashtags for the movers and stuff like that so that they can see it. Because I don't care if Timbuktu Moving Company and Storage sees what a good job I'm doing. That, to me, they might give me some props, give me a thumbs up, like my stuff, whatever, and that's great. That feeds my ego, but they're not my customer. So
right.
To me, it's a waste of time to market to them. I want to market to the guys that are going to make a difference. You know what I mean? So that's where I'm going. So that's why you might not see my stuff, because I'm not marketing to you. Right. No offense. You're a great guy. You're not my customer.
Sure.
you're not going to call my moving service unless you're up in the area and need some labor, you know.
That does happen, you know, in this business. You know, I've multiple times had to call another moving company in another market to help unload a truck or whatever. So yeah, I mean, that does happen. And we've gotten calls too. I mean, we get calls all the time for stuff like that. So, or maybe I'll load up a customer here in Gainesville that's loading up a pod or a U-Haul, and they'll say, "Hey, do you know anybody in Michigan or North Carolina or wherever?" And if I do, I'll 100% recommend them. Or if I have a family member in that part of the country, I mean, I've recommended. I have family out in Texas. I recommended the company Einstein Moving out in Texas, who, you know, I also did a podcast recording with. I haven't released it yet, but they've got a lot of good things going on over there. So I'd like to, you know, yeah, definitely follow them a little bit more. But yeah, I mean, you never know. You never know where you can connect the dots. I mean, even in our own local market, we make friends with all the other moving companies because when one of us gets booked up, you know, we're going to call the other guy and say, "Hey, you guys booked right now? Can you take on more work?" And exactly. if we pass them business, they pass us business, and everybody's happy. So, you know, it's that abundance mentality, I think.
Now, one thing I want to really commend you for is doing this podcast, because when I first started in like last year, I got a lot of requests for people. "Hey, Jay, put your stuff in on podcasts, you know, do recordings of it." And I looked into it, and there's a lot of equipment that looked like I was going to need. And when I looked at it, I was like, man, I just can't do YouTube and podcasts and run my business. You know, I would have to give up one or the other. So I just stuck with the YouTube video. So you doing this podcast is, as I know, is if you promote it wisely, a lot of the people are going to want to hear this. So I'm really glad that you're doing this, and I can't wait to see what your show is and subscribe myself. So I just want to say this is a really good thing, and I think that you're crushing it as far as this and putting yourself up there. So
thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that, and I'll fill you in on a little secret. It's really not that expensive or different from trying to do a YouTube channel. There's a guy, John Lee Dumas, and he's got a free 15-day course on how to get going on a podcast, and you'd be surprised. It's not if you're willing to put a little bit of time into learning about it. It's, you know, you can. I mean, I have this little fancy microphone and headphones right now, but if you have a computer, your computer probably has a built-in microphone, and your cell phone even. There's
right.
ways to record podcasts, you know, on your phone and with minimum equipment. So, you know, if you're I would encourage you to look into it a little bit if it's something you're still interested in. But, you know, it's
maybe down the road. But right now, I've got my hands full with what I'm doing.
Yeah,
so.
I hear you. You can't do everything.
But I'm glad you're doing it because, you know, I'll definitely going to promote the podcast to the academy and other places, because I know people are striving for it. There is such a demand for people like you and me who are out there willing to put and give our information and share our information. There is a demand out there for it. You know, and you know, I'm kind of it's almost I have a fatherly pride in you, because, you know, I don't want to brag, but I was the first really to start doing this. You know, there was nobody doing podcasts, because there was nobody doing YouTube videos, and there was nobody doing any of this. So, and when I started, not that I necessarily, people saw my stuff and said, I'm going to start doing it, but it's still, you know, I broke the ice, and it seems like now Louis Massaro started doing it shortly after I did, you know what I mean? Which was kind of cool. You know, I was in there, and then, like, I think it was a month later, I'm doing my videos. The next thing you know, here's Louis Massaro, and he did his first video. I'm like, who is this guy? And then he did a couple more videos. I'm like, yeah, all right. You know, then I looked into him, and I was like, okay. You know, I'm not going to go into the whole thing of Louis Massaro, but, you know, it's just like, wow, it was really cool. And then now you're doing this podcast. So I kind of got, like, this fatherly pride in this community. You know, there's so many people that, you know, that I've connected up with because of doing these YouTube videos and everything, of people who really truly wanted to do something but haven't done it. And I'm glad to be, to a small part, being an influencer to get people out there. Even if they surpass me, I'm going to be so prideful. I'm going to be so happy that people do go out and do make a good living or do something as a side hustler or whatever in this field, because there's such a huge demand, believe it or not. I couldn't believe, even though the statistics and analytics says there is no market, there is truly a huge market in this field for what you and I are doing and others.
Yeah, absolutely. And Gary Vee talks a lot about that, in that you could be have an entire podcast or YouTube channel on knitting out of, like, with yarn. And it might be the boringest thing in the world to some people, but you're going to find that niche group, even if it's just 1,000, 2,000, 5,000 people out there that's their passion or that's their profession and something they're trying to learn about, and they're going to follow you religiously. I mean, there's somewhere, I forget who wrote it, there's an article about your 1,000 loyal followers is all you really need. And yeah.
It's at the tip of my tongue. I thought I had it. No, I don't. But I know what you're talking about. You'll have 1,000, when you can build up a following of 1,000 passionate people that will buy from you no matter what, then you're set for life financially.
Yeah, exactly. Well, there's building an audience, is the first step, because that means you're creating value for people, and you don't even have to go into it with how you're gonna make money on it. I think that's a big mistake a lot of people make, is they start these channels and podcasts and whatnot with the sole intention of making money. And if you have a good plan and a proven model to follow, then maybe that is a good thing. But I think that's a mistake for most people, because they go in with the money on the mind instead of just creating the value first. And if you can create value for somebody, something that is going to build that following, then there'll be ways to monetize it down the road. Those opportunities will open up, whether it's, advertising or affiliate marketing or partnerships or, a subscription that you can offer, or a product or an online course that you can offer access to, or, there's all kinds of different ways to do it. That's a whole other topic to get into, but I think the key is to just do something that people find value in.
Right, and that's key for the guys who are out there who are listening, is about starting a moving business. Even though we're talking about YouTube channels and podcasts and stuff, we kind of went off subject. The lessons that we're talking about translate into your moving business as well. If you create value, if you create great service, there's no reason you can't be charging the high end of the spectrum and make good money. But you got to create value, and how you create value as a service provider is by giving value. Mm-hmm. It's not giving. It's by actually providing the value. So when you go out and do the service, you make sure you lay down your floor runners. You make sure you pad up the banisters. You make sure that the furniture is completely 100% covered before you take it out the door, and that your guys are moving at a great clip, right? And if you do that, you take the lessons we're talking about, podcasts and affiliates and all that, and you actually marry that to your service business, you will be very successful. And that's one thing I really try to do with my videos, is teach them how to give the best value. You're not going to please everyone. You're not going to make everyone happy. Someone's going to say the wrong thing at the wrong time to the wrong person, and they're going to go up and write a 30-page, 10,000 treatise of how horrible your business is. It's just going to happen. But if you do that consistently, you just try to give the best service. You try to deliver in abundance, not give free service away, but deliver in abundance. That is actually what's going to make your business super successful. It isn't about giving away free stuff. It isn't about giving the discounts. It isn't about racing to the bottom of for the price wise, going, I got to be the cheapest to get the most people, because those are not the customers you want, because they're going to be the worst customers to deal with. You want the customer that appreciates quality and service over price. Yeah, price might make a difference when it comes to two companies that are similar. The price might make that thing make the difference of who they go with, but people want service, they want quality more than they want a cheap price. right? And you can charge the premium dollars if you're given the premium service.
Sure.
So if you're giving value out there and you can prove that you're giving the value and you're using social media correctly, you're going to be very, very successful. And I've been learning that on these lines from the groups, from Eric, from other people like you guys. You know, if you want to be the best, you got to study the best. And I've been studying you guys. I've been studying Jimmy Williams. I've been studying Eric's, Ty Krupp, and some of the other large independent moving companies, finding out what they're doing. And one of the key things over and over and over is they go out of their way to deliver the best service, right? And that translates to your employees too. If you're finding that you don't have the best guys, that's because you're not giving the best value to your guys either. That doesn't, because if you're giving value to you guys, if you're really making a contribution into their lives and making their lives easier and better, they're going to return the thing. Not all of them. They're going to be the ones that are, you know, you look at them wrong and they're going to quit, you know, or just not show up because they went partying the night before. You know, they're going to be those guys. But you can get a good core team if you deliver great value to them and their families.
Yeah, I 100% agree. And for all the movers out there, I think you hit on a great thing. Like, don't be the cheapest person in your market. Don't think that you have to charge, you know, $60, $70, $80, $90 an hour to compete. I mean, our rates right now are $129 an hour with a 3-hour minimum, which is, I would even consider, you know, that not to be as high as we can go or probably will go as we get into the busy season here. But, you know, think of it how you hire your own movers. If you're going to get what you pay for, and customers know the exact same thing, they're going to get what they pay for. And if you're paying $10 an hour to guys, you know, you're going to get a $10 an hour employee. If you pay, you know, 12, 15, you know, the key is to find in your market what the threshold of finding a quality mover is. And you don't always have to attract them with what their hourly pay is. You know, same thing with a customer. You don't always have to entice them with how much you're going to charge them or the discounts that you're going to offer them. There's other ways to add value for both your customers as well as your employees. I mean, maybe with us, I mean, we've created a culture of college students. So these guys can work with their peers. We really sell to get paid to work out. So we attract like the bigger guys that like to be physically active, that like to, you know, that don't want to be sitting behind a desk all day, that want to go out there to different job sites, meet different people. They're going to make tips. They're going to get, you know, free couches for their house and free furniture for their house. They get hauled away. You know, there's all these different perks. We try to do fun stuff every so often, you know, bowling nights and company dinners and stuff like that. You know, same thing with your customers. Maybe you're adding that extra value of the free floor runners and this, you know, you're stretch wrapping and moving or putting pads on all of their furniture, and you're always going to be on time, and you have a, you know, money back guarantee or whatever it is. So, you know, those are just suggestions, but you know, you create that value, you sell it above just the price. You know, you sell the dollar amount above just the dollar, but at the same time, you know, people know they get what they pay for. The customers want to pay for quality service. You know, you want to pay for quality guys, and you know, that's how it translates over.
Right.
Cool. Well, we're coming up on an hour here, Jay. Is there anything else you want to hit on before we wrap it up here?
I don't know. Now you got me tongue tied. I don't know what to say now. I don't know.
It's probably a good place to wrap it up here then today. Parting words, any advice that you give anybody out there?
The lasting advice I really want someone to think is learn everything you can from me, from you, from, you know, get into the Facebook groups and study, learn, participate, engage. You're not going to learn by just sitting back on the sidelines. Engage in the communities. Be a participant, ask the questions, even if they're dumb questions. Yes, they're going to be picked on. If that's a dumb question, people are going to say that's a dumb question, but people will still answer them, you know, or show you where to go. Ask away anyway, and just give the best service you can, right? If you want to be successful, just be the guy that people go to when they want the best service, not the cheapest, but the best. And constantly strive to be better and better and better.
I love it. Awesome. Well, ladies and gentlemen, Jae Burnham, this has been the Grow Your Moving Company podcast, and we're going to upload this to YouTube as well, so hopefully we'll get some traction over there. But thanks for joining me here, Jay, and hope you have a great rest of your Memorial Day weekend.
Thank you, sir. You have a great weekend.
All right.
All right. Bye-bye.